It's preparing streaming, and you are probably live. Yep, you are.
All right, got it. Welcome, everyone. We're going to be talking about less anger and
Preparing
more
streaming.
peace. We really want to be able to have some control, right? Like, what do we hear? I wish I could control my anger. I wish that it didn't just boil up within me. I wish I could keep my cool. I wish that it didn't bother me. And so some of these things are your greatest wishes. And I want to empower you to know that you actually do get to control this. So we're Tammy and Rita. We're here to facilitate you and support you in finding out your peace program. Your peace program. If you had a peace program and you knew how to get to your peace program, would that benefit you? Because we're going to teach you that anger is a program. Your brain loves programs. And when your brain loves a program, it wants to repeat it. And then pretty soon we're feeling out of control. And it can be anxiety, depression, all sorts of different sensations that happen. And when they get a mind of their own, right, then we lose control. So welcome. And so some of the things that we're going to learn, I'll just read through this quick and then we can have
or you can read it slow and talk about that.
Good idea. So what we want to get out of this class is to understand how to direct your own reactions. Would anybody rather feel like they could respond than be reacting all the time? Hopefully. And what would you like to say about that, Rita? How to direct your own reactions?
Well, I think what's important about this class is knowing that you can, knowing that you have options, knowing that you have opportunities, knowing that you can consciously and unconsciously create a program where you can take control. I mean, that's what you're going to get out of this this workshop or this class, is that knowingness.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I did not know that. I thought I am helpless to what's going on in my head. I'm totally helpless to it. And if you feel that way, just know that we all here have felt that way, and that it doesn't have to be the only way. There is other ways. So number 2, we want to know ourselves well enough to know what we need to do for ourselves. So earlier I said that, if I say think about a dog, you're not going to think about my dog. You're going to think about your experience with the dog. Hi, Greg. So what that means is that you have a particular way of doing things, and I have a particular way of doing things. And what we want to know is what is going to work for me. And so we're going to really dive down into finding what is your peace program, how can you access it more, and how can you make it get a mind of its own? Would you rather have your peace program have a mind of its own than your anger program? And let's all raise our hands and say, amen. It's like church around here, Greg. Right. If we had a peace program, no matter what happens and we go into this peace trance, like, wouldn't that be great? Because how many of us feel like anger is a trance? Like, we're just all of a sudden angry and we're not thinking, we're saying things we wish we didn't say. And then later we look back and we're like, why did I say that? Well, you were in your anger trance.
Yes.
What is a peace trance like, Rita?
Peace trance. Well, I like the idea of, like you said, we have a peace. We have a driving trance, we have a mom trance, we have a work trance. Okay, I go to work, this is my mindset, this is what I'm going to do. But do we have we really cultivated a peace program? No. And why not? It's because of how we grew up. No one taught us how, you might have heard the teacher say, okay, make sure you count to 10. You're upset, you're sad, you're angry, count to 10. And there is some truth to that. And that could be part of your peace program. So I think part of the peace program that's important is that that we get that we are responsible for what we do inside our brains, inside our minds. Like
Yeah.
that is a huge
Yeah.
principle
Yes.
for your peace program.
I love that. I'm just thinking, you know, what I would do before I knew this work was to fixate on things. Well, he cheated on me. Well, he took this. Well, he did that. And I would fixate on it and I would get my head in a tizzy. Of course, how could I not get angry? How could I not get angry doing those kinds of things? So taking responsibility for my own thoughts is part of that, isn't it? To go, oh, there I go off on, you know, really getting myself in a state that's harmful for me with those thoughts, those kinds of things that I did have some choice about. So that is great. All right, let me get this down so I can read my other things. So you're also going to cultivate inner peace. Did I say that one? Know yourself well enough to know what you need to do. Cultivate inner peace. Create a result that you desire. So who wants to be able to dream of a different way of reacting and then have it show up in real time? So, you know, something bad goes down, your car gets a flat, you're getting yelled at work, your wife is late. When these kinds of things happen, that you can create the desire that you want.
Yeah,
Create the result.
that one seems kind of tough, you know, 'cause it seems not tangible enough. And like I was there, I've been there where create your own result. Like, no, they screwed up. So, and as you go through the peace process program, you will start to really like, oh, I can create this result because the way we act and the way we react to other people, it comes back. It
Yeah.
just keeps coming back. So know that if you start driving your own creation bus, your own peace program bus, that you are in charge and you are driving it and you go to first gear, second gear, you turn the signal light on, you look at your rear mirror, you're conscious, you're aware until you unconsciously can create those results effortlessly. So it's very doable. Greg, you have a question?
Oh, not really. Am I coming through okay?
Yep.
We
Yeah.
can. You're
Okay.
stuck on my screen, but I can hear you.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. I think I just kind of scratched my nose. Just taking it in so far. Yeah, I can't think of a pertinent question to ask, to be honest, right now. But
Okay.
it's a good idea, and yeah, like
Perfect.
it
I
sometimes
just,
feels out of control, and
right.
I keep interrupting.
Oh, really? No. Yes. And so the result that we want, you know what we think about more often than not? The bad thing that's going to happen.
The bad thing that's never going to happen.
The bad thing that might never happen, or the bad thing that did happen. And we think about that and think about that and think about that. And then what are we creating? Are we creating the results that we desire? Absolutely not. And it can't be created. It's impossible to create your desire from what you don't desire.
Yeah, catastrophizing, right?
Right.
Yeah,
I think I'm familiar.
I'm so familiar.
Right. Right.
And finally, what we want to talk about, and this will be throughout the class, you know, these are the 5 things that we really want to touch on. And we're kind of just giving you an overview tonight, but we want to empower the highest version of you. And I'm really excited about that because I just think we are such, you know, every person just has a beautiful light and a beautiful purpose for being here on earth. And it is to make the world a better place. It is. That's why we're here. We're here to contribute. And what happens is our experiences, things that are done to us, the things we hear and see and feel, all of a sudden cloud that light. And then we become a repetition of what's been done to us. And we treat people the way we've been treated instead of the way we really, truly are.
Yeah. And the reason why we do that is because we have been born into a human nature. So when we were from 0 to 7, we learned who we are through the eyes of our caretakers. You know, the stage was already set. They had their own skills and talents on how to cope with life. They influenced us. Once we got influenced with those ways of being, we created coping skills. Therefore, we created belief system. Therefore, we created an I am terrible. I'm mean. I must be bad. I must be on my own. So we start looking through those perspectives, and then we find ourselves with those type of people that help us live into what we've already been living to in the past, right? So uh so and there's a
then
lot.
it's created.
Yeah,
It's
finish it up,
recreated.
Tammy. What did you
So
say?
that is part of what our brain's purpose is to capture things that really stood out in our life. And a lot of times those things are the worst things. And the reason we capture those things is so that we can be aware and watch out and make sure it never happens again. But the problem with doing that is we're setting our brain up to find the things we don't want
Right.
in life. When mom is late for school the one day she picks you up, 15 years of your life and she's on time, you don't remember any day. You remember the day, any of those days, you remember the day she didn't pick you up on time. And, somebody was talking and he said, you know what you were doing on 9/11? Do you have any idea what you were doing 9/10? Of course not. So
Right.
the big events, the tragedies, the hurtful things, the stuff that we go through that has the most adrenaline is what places a super high priority in our brain to remember that. But it's not the only truth in our life.
Also the wedding and your first love and your your firstborn, because those are heightened emotions. So if you went bungee jumping or you did cliff diving or if you went scuba diving, you're going to if you petted a dolphin in the Sea of Cortez or whatever, you will remember those because those have the heightened emotion. So it could
Right.
be good or bad. And the thing is, the unconscious, that survival part of your brain can't tell the difference. It's just going to remember it.
Right. Right. And then you're going to view things through that perspective. And that's how come, you might think mom doesn't care about me because she was late for school or because she abused me or she told me I was stupid or, but that's just that one moment in time that just holds a lot of power over us. And
Mhm.
it causes a reaction even today in our life. It causes a reaction as soon as somebody thinks I'm stupid. If mom told me I'm stupid and then my husband makes some kind of snide remark that I'm stupid, don't you think I'm going to have a reaction and I'm going to react the way that I saw or heard somebody else react when they felt that way? It's these programs that are running. So we want to really we want to develop that peace program. And some of the ways that we're going to do that is to just start asking questions. Because like I said, if I say think of a dog, you're going to think of a dog that not a dog that I know. And so we want to dive down and find out some of these peace resources. And let me tell you, just like anger, the more you practice peace, the more peace shows up. The more you practice anger, the more anger shows up. So let's not get down on ourselves and shame ourselves and guilt ourselves for being angry. Really, the faster we can get over the fact that we made a mistake, gather forgiveness, forgive ourselves, the faster we can continue to create more peace in our life when we get back to that peace program. So I do have a little slideshow here, but I didn't want to show all of it now because we've talked so much. So maybe what I'll do is just walk us through parts that we want to deal with. So first of all, we do, okay, maybe I will share this. All right, I gotta put you guys over here and do a slideshow. So to experience inner peace, it's an inside job. It's called inner peace because it's inside of you. And I think that we need to kind of understand that anger is the same way. Anger is inside of us. And So if it's an inside job to have peace, then you hold this inner peace in your memories, and then you'll be at peace. And when you think peaceful thoughts, then you'll be at peace. And if you change your mind to being peaceful, then you will be at peace. That's how it works. We cannot think about something peaceful and feel angry. So we need to know what peaceful thoughts are going to help reduce and rewire and help us get back into our thinking mind. The one thing that anger does is shut off our thinking mind, just like when you touch a stove, your thinking mind's not there saying, "Ooh, that's hot, you should move your hand now," or your hand would be scorched, right? So it goes like this. It's a reaction. It's super fast. Your subconscious is helping keeping you safe. And anger can be that same way, where you're not using the thinking part. You're just having a quick reaction. So building the inner peace will help with that. The thing is, this is so fascinating. One of the most fascinating things I learned ever in my life, right here. Huge, huge, huge. Everything inside you is you. Now, it might take a while for this to absorb in, but it's so exciting. It's so exciting to me because I'm like, oh my goodness, that means that I have some power into the things that have happened to me. So now if my dad yelled at me and spanked me, and my mom got mad at me and called me something that I didn't like or whatever, that memory is in my head. But the only thing that's keeping it alive are these neurons firing back and forth. It's no longer real. It did happen, but the only thing that's keeping it alive is that memory. And that's super powerful, because that means inside my head, I have the power to be the movie, the director, the actor, the characters, the victim, and the perpetrator. Because now it's no longer reality. I'm not looking at it. It's not happening right now. All it is neurons firing off to create images and sounds and feelings that my body still believes are true and still believes are happening.
Yeah. That is big. Yeah. So every emotion, every feeling, every thought, every sensation, it's coming from within. It's not happening. It's not raining anger. It's not raining depression. It's not, you have it inside there, and you have it as a memory. A memory could be a sound. A sound could trigger a whole slew of fight, flight, or freeze, right?
Yeah.
A smell, you can smell something, it'll remind you of your grandma's loving cooking, that you felt loved and catered to, right? They're always trying to feed you. You can have a visual, of your vacation, and you go there and you feel it, and that's you doing it to you. You're creating the happiness, and also you're creating the anger or the resentment or even the fear. So it's in us.
Yeah. So when I have a memory, and say that I have a memory of my dad being mad at me for not feeding the dogs, we'll say, and his face was so angry, and I'm just a little girl and I see his face, my brain takes a snapshot of his face, and now it's in my head as anger. Now my brain says, oh, I know what to do when you're angry. You look like this. Have you ever seen someone who you're like, wow, you look just like your mom when you get mad? Or, wow, you have your mom's smile. Or, wow, so these things are, our brain literally takes that representation and replays it. So sometimes, and there's a very innocence to it, isn't there? Sometimes the anger really did come from someone else, because that program is playing in your brain. However, we want you to be empowered over those memories that are trapping you in those emotions that got locked in there, that were someone else, not you.
Yeah. And basically what we're doing is we're updating. We're going to be updating those memories. That's all that needs to happen. Once you update it, you rewrite the memories, your perception changes. You're like, oh, my mom wasn't mad at me because I'm a bad child. My mom was upset because she had her problems and I'm letting go of mine. So we're updating. You'll learn how to do that. We're already updating, but we're updating unconsciously, and we also are, we might have a bad memory that we keep replaying over and adding more and more and more and more. That's why those neurons become very much engrooved, and your face starts scouring, your hair turns gray, you get, some sort of ailment because of all that chemical release that's been happening over the last 10, 15 years. And it's just not healthy. We know that, right? We know that those chemicals, that anger or sadness or depression releases, is not good for our bodies.
Really hard on your heart. Leslie, did you have something to say?
Well, it's occurring to me that the word feelings is really supported in lots and lots of ways. Because they're the first, how are you feeling, sweetheart? Oh, you're feeling so badly. That feelings became the flag that I could follow. Oh, this is telling me something about myself. But what, like you, Tammy, what I didn't know was that they're negotiable.
That's right.
They're negotiable. And I'm putting that together with my interest and way less fear in experimenting. So some of the training that we've had and is being supported by neuroplasticity, the question I ask myself now is, why not experiment? So this feeling comes in and it's familiar and I know what I want to do with it. What if I didn't? What if I just took a breath, which kind of stops the part of the habit that's going, and take away the power of feeling?
Right.
It's not to say that there aren't feelings, and they're so wonderful feelings, but to be able to negotiate the ones that are getting in my own way.
Yeah, that's great. And we want to know, who do we want to be? I think that's a question that, if you have your pen and paper, like if you could draw out 5 big, huge, big words that you would want defining you. So when people talk about you and you're not in the room, what 5 words would you want them to define you with? Would you want them to say, oh, they're so angry, they're so quick to temper, wow, don't cross them? And sometimes we need to take a look at reality, how we want to show up and how we are showing up.
Yeah.
But we need to be aware of how we want to, and we don't spend a lot of time thinking about, how do I want to show up?
Right. There's that gap, and that's what we do within this work, is we work on the gap. You want to be here, but you're acting like this. So we help gap that, close that up, right? And we do that through brain training. We do that through neuroplasticity. We do that through our peace program. We do that through peaceful thoughts, and also recognizing what it is that you want. So we know what we don't want, because that's kind of how the majority of our brain practice. I don't want them to do this, and I don't want them to say this, but what do you do? What do you want? So sometimes we just have to go parallel. So I don't want to be angry. So what's the opposite of anger? Peaceful, calm, curious, control.
Curious. I love that.
Yeah. So you want, so maybe if you can't come up with the 5 words that who you would like to be, know who you don't want to be. Right. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to
do the opposite.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
If you know that you're impatient, what's the opposite of patience? Now you know what you want to be. Now you know who you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is being aware of what you want that's going to start catching you on those moments where you're like, ooh, that's different right there, because it's not what I want. And it just gives us a little bit more control. We be aware, and then we redirect. So the first time we're aware, when we're like, okay, I have a story. I remember I was getting super mad at my daughter. I had caught her in a lie, and I was just like, oh, I'm getting so mad. And I had been told that by one of my mentors to stop and just notice, what does that feel like? Like, what actually is the sensation inside my body when I'm getting angry? And so I got curious, and I asked that question. Ooh, what does this sensation feel like? And you want to know something really weird? The sensation of getting angry felt like bubbles coming up, just like if I were getting excited. It wasn't any different for me. And I had never known that before. And this was like 3 months ago. I've been studying this stuff for 5 years, and I did not know that the sensation of getting angry, like when I was getting really mad, really fast, felt exactly like when I'm, excited to go on a vacation, or excited, like it's this like, ooh, I'm so, these like bubbly feeling. And so I literally got curious and asked the question, what does that sensation feel like? Because it's inside of me, and we'll have a physical sensation that brings up that emotion. We'll have the emotion that brings up that physical sensation, but let's just be aware of it. And as soon as I got curious about it, and then I felt that, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so weird. Like, these are bubbles, like it feels bubbly, like I'm excited. And then I didn't even get mad. I was looking for a solution, because the point of it raising until I was going to blow had disappeared. And I was in a different direction. I wasn't on that groove that Rita was talking about to get angry. I was on a different groove. I was on the groove of curiosity, and whoa, that's interesting. And it can completely dissipate that feeling. So think about that. Maybe you're like me. I mean, I'm in my 50s and I never asked myself. I mean, I know I could say like, ooh, I felt hot, or I just blew up, or like I say these words, but I never stop to say, what's this sensation I'm feeling? And it's just good to have those kind of curious questions to ask in the middle of something, so that you can maintain your cool, maintain your list of 5 things of who you want to be and who you want to show up as.
One more, do you mind?
No, go ahead.
Think the important part of what you're saying, as far as I'm concerned, at the beginning especially, is taking a breath, which means making space for something to happen. Because I think it's especially learning to recognize the feelings. I can't say what else about it. I have to stop.
Yeah.
Just take the breath. And that was a relief to know that it was simple. I didn't have to know anything else. I just had to make room for knowing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've just recently learned that like the subconscious will literally shift with 3 breaths.
Yeah.
So just taking like 3 breaths and just letting yourself, it's this kind of the same concept probably as count to 10 or something like that. Anything that's going to redirect your brain. And so if that breath works, use it. And that's what we want to find out for each of us, what really works. But I know that working with clients, having them take 3 breaths and then step into a different outcome is really powerful for the subconscious as well. So let's move on to that right now. Let's ask some questions that are going to help us develop our peace program, so we know how to direct our brain. And guess what? Your brain loves what you practice. It'll do it for you if you practice it. And who wants to be more peaceful? Both hands. Both hands. Who wants to be more peaceful? If you want to be more peaceful, what are you going to practice?
Peace.
Yes. You're going to practice peace. You're going to practice thoughtfulness. I like peace. I think it's kind of the opposite of anger, but maybe it's serene, or maybe it's something like control or something like that. But so let's find out what makes you feel loved. And I want you to answer these questions, because if you have them written down and in front of you, then you know like, ooh, What makes me feel loved is when somebody gave me flowers or somebody brought me a cup of coffee at work. So now you know, like, gifts make me feel loved. And now all you have to do is think about that. And you'll be like, oh, this memory right here, when somebody brought me a gift, if I could just think of them bringing me a gift, you will start to slow down those angry chemicals. Your body will it's not you trying to figure out how to stop your anger. That's going to stop your anger. It's literally you thinking about something else that's going to stop your anger. I used to
Long
sit and
enough,
figure it out.
long enough,
Yeah.
deep enough.
For what works for you. That's right. But isn't that the truth? Like when we're getting angry, we're like, oh, I just want to stop being angry, but I can't stop yelling. Oh, what can I do? And what should I do? And like, if you go into that, you just are amping up the anger. That's what I did. And so when I realized what makes me feel loved is thinking about my dog or my horse or a whale or a vacation or my kids, or so now I have like a list of things that I can think about instead. So do you all have at least 3 things for what help you feel loved? And does anyone want to share?
I've only managed understanding and validation so far. So,
Good. So when somebody validates you,
yeah, or let's say I am upset about something. If I get that, and I'm learning to give it to myself, but if I get that sort of, oh, I get that you're upset because XYZ, feeling heard
good.
or understood. It does it for me in those times where, yeah, I'm not being my coolest self.
Perfect. So then you can even figure out what things validate you. Because if you're angry and you're dealing with that person and they validated you once, you might be like, yeah, they did it once, but you'll have all these other excuses pop in there. But what validates you?
Well, I've been trying to learn more about mindfulness and meditation, and I'm one of the lessons I'm trying to learn and internalize better is that I can do that for myself. So I can stop and have that conversation with myself, and essentially ask myself what has made you upset, and the more I can get to the root of that, and that's the part I'm still working on.
Yes.
Yeah, that being able to put my finger on the pulse of whatever it is helping, and usually it's pretty primary or basic. I feel sad
Right.
because so and so did X, or I feel unheard, or something along those lines.
Exactly. And is it okay if I coach you a second?
Oh yeah, please.
Okay.
Then
And rather than asking, because we can ask like, what's making me upset, but that kind of is driving that upset program because you're asking more questions about it. You're feeding it. But if you asked, what would
You're
validate me
Googling
right
it.
now? You're Googling your brain for the wrong answer, for the angry answer, for the upset answer, for the frustrated answer. And that's the normal thing. Like when I was talking about, I would ask questions all the time. I'm asking questions that are driving me to the same problem. It's not the solution. So maybe ask yourself, what would validate me right now?
I like that. What would
And just
validate?
switch it. Just switch it totally.
Yeah. Stick to the positive rather than the negative of it. Yeah.
Yes. And let's open this, unpackage this a little bit. What makes you feel loved? So I want you to think of a place in nature that makes you feel loved.
So many. Any lake or river, bodies of water.
Yes, me too.
Me 3.
And Leslie.
Go fishing.
Yeah. So I want you to write out these things, a lake or a river. I want you to get a picture of a lake or a river that helps you feel really serene. Because guess what? All you have to do is know like, ooh, water makes me feel peaceful. And if you have that picture of water in front of you, you're going to have a hard time being angry because your brain is looking at it and it's saying, well, should I be peaceful or like, I'm really upset about this. So this can help you start to build your peace program. So good. So find those places that were special where you were by a river or a lake, and maybe keep them close by on your phone. Who makes you feel loved? Think about if you have any people in your life that, and I want this to be really pure, like you see a puppy and you're like, oh, that's so loving. Or, you see a baby, or it's somebody that hasn't offended you. Like, who makes you feel loved? And that's all you feel with them.
I wrote my cats just before you said dog.
Yeah, perfect. Good. And so now all you have to think about is your cat, and you'll feel that loving feeling. It won't take you long. I mean, you just have to be like, ooh, look at their face, look at the color, imagine touching them, imagine their purr, like really get into all 5 senses about being with the cat, even if you're not there. And then you can, your brain will automatically start to feel more peaceful because you know that your cat makes you feel loved. You can't feel angry if you're feeling loved. So that's great. The place in nature, think of a peaceful place. We've got a couple of those down. Hopefully we just want you to jot more and more and more and more about this. As you build your peace program, it's going to be a big, huge resource for you that oh man, I'm starting to feel edgy. Oh, I should think about my cat right now. I'm starting to feel edgy. I should imagine the wind blowing on the trees next to the river right now.
That's perfect. You start to notice the upset. You start to know, like Tammy was saying, notice the sensation that is occurring, and then look at your kitty, or go fish and close your eyes, take those 3 breaths and go casting, just do visualizing. And then, I think this is casting.
Yeah.
Very good.
Go cast for some more peace and some more calm and some more serenity. And it's really capturing those moments before. It's really, you're trying to capture, before it hits the fan, before the upset erupts, because the signals are there, the signs are already there. Sometimes you could walk into the office and you already always know that boss is going to offend you one way or another. So before you walk into that door, get into your peaceful state. Go look at that cat, go look at the ocean, dip your fingers in the ocean, whatever it is that you need to do to get those senses. Go to your happy place, right?
Yeah. What we're really trying to say is that you will
something.
Oh, go ahead, Leslie.
Well, one of the things I expunged from my vocabulary is this makes me feel something. You make me feel something. This makes me feel something, good or bad. I'm making me. And Greg, this is so cool. I was so annoyed to know that I was responsible for everything that was inside all of those conversations, until the conversations actually started to happen. And then it was a lot better. But now I don't say anymore, well, you made me, or that made me, or what makes you feel in a certain way. Well, me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's some of it's languaging.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's really powerful. And the blame cycle is going to make us angry automatically.
Yeah, because we lose control.
Yeah.
We could become helpless and hopeless and feelings of no control and betrayed. And so what Leslie was alluding to is like the first step. The first step is taking complete ownership for all areas of your life on how you are processing, how we are, our perspective. That's like the only thing we can take responsibility is like, I'm sad. Okay, I'm sad. Or it's not even your sad. Sadness is there, right? It's not like you are sadness. Sadness arose for some reason, right? And being with that. Now you can look at that and go to a happy memory, a happy feeling, a happy thought. You can be grateful. You can be love, you can be gratitude. That will shift. And the more you do it, you flatten those fear neurons, those angry neurons, those stress neurons. Yeah.
Right. The groove becomes less deep in the brain. The groove is there because the brain says, I'm very efficient. You don't have to learn how to tie your shoes or talk or walk or eat or go to the bathroom anymore because you learned it way back then and your brain is using that memory and we have a strong groove for it. It does it automatically for us, right? And that's the same with emotions, but people just don't realize that. It's the same with emotions. Happy people are happy no matter what happens, and sad people are sad no matter what happens, and angry people, like some people you meet and you're like, oh, I thought this was good when you were telling me. You're mad about it. Oh, I didn't know, So that groove, we can shrink the groove based on what we're practicing. Practice peace. Really, it's so much more powerful to have that automatic control for it.
Okay, Tammy, so we have 5 minutes, so we can recap the Peace Process program and then Q&A with the participants and then.
Okay, so let's just find some happy songs, some songs that help us feel joyful, help us feel light, help us feel empowered. And then what thoughts bring you joy? So it could be anything. The thought of picking a phone call, the thought of seeing a text from a friend. So get those written down, and that's what we really want you to practice.
Until next Monday. So you have 7 days.
And please feel free to write, to, post about how this is affecting you. Like you're going to have some different reactions. You're going to be like, whoa, that just happened. And I usually do this. And that's really exciting. You're starting to rewire your brain.
It's sneaky too.
It's awesome. I love it.
I love that idea. You sort of sneak up on yourself.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you said. Who was that?
That's the future me, the me I want to be.
Exactly.
Good.
That's
So
what-
do you guys have any questions?
Just to thank.
Go ahead.
Oh, that was it.
Thank you. Yes.
You're very welcome. Did it make sense? Is there any part that you're like, hold on a second, I'm confused, or anything you want clarity on?
I have work to do on owning the emotion, right? Let's say like you're talking to somebody, I totally get the concept and have run into it before, that you own everything, your emotions are a choice, but it leaves me feeling disabled or unable to speak to somebody. Like let's say that there is an occurrence and let's say you have a partner and you want to talk about this behavior led to this. So without pointing the finger, how do you discuss it without being able to attach an emotion to it? Like, I feel abused under this situation. How do you discuss that without saying that hurt me or that made me sad? And I still, I guess I have trouble parsing out, like, if somebody is being subjected to something, is it not kind of both participants a little bit? Yeah. So yeah, I need to intellectualize that further. I've heard it and I get it, but if I chase the thought process far enough, it loses me at a point.
Right.
So far. Yeah.
Great question. So that's the heat of the moment. That's what we call the heat of the moment, right? So a lot of the work that we're doing now, that you're preparing by finding those 3 things that make you feel loved, by finding the who makes you feel loved, by finding the nature place, by finding that favorite song, by finding that thought that brings you joy. This is learning how to swim before you're drowning, right? The best time to learn how to swim is not when you're drowning, right?
But yeah.
Yeah. So Tammy's saying this is our homework. Let's get these worked on. This is your focus.
Yep.
right? Because this is you learning how to do the stroke, the backstroke, the butterfly. This is you learning how to hold your breath and taking that deep. No, just kidding. That's me. I have to hold my breath and jump. So if you can have that framework.
Yeah.
Because you want to build the skill, you want to build the muscle. So you can do, like Leslie was saying, we can breathe. You can go to what makes you feel love. You probably don't want to deal with that type of conversation. Like, it's going to happen because it's going to happen, right? But I would say pause. Tammy loves this pause. You could observe, notice, and experience what's happening. Go to your happy memory, leave the room, go put on your favorite song. I'll be right back, honey. I would love to discuss that. I got to go to the pooper, whatever.
Yeah.
Break the trance, break we want to interrupt that pattern, right? Because you guys are in a pattern. You're going to be in a dance. She's going to be in a dance. You're going to make her wrong. She's going to make you wrong. He, she, whatever. So it's like a little dance. You want to pull away from that, take a little pause. I'll be right back. Gather yourself, right? And find those moments where you can relax, calm, be curious about what happened, feel the sensation. What's the opposite? What would you rather feel? Or that's just one little part. I personally had to, yes, leave the room, and I am a fast EFT tactics practitioner. So I learned how to tap, and I would go, let it go, let it flow, let it out, let it vent, switch it, flip it, make it nice again. Peace. Go to that happy memory, go to that happy feeling. That for me was the fastest, quickest way, because these are pressure points. These are relaxing meridians. There's a whole science behind that. So that's what I would do. Breathe. Direct your brain to the happy stuff. Then you can come out. That 10 is now a 3 or 2. And now you can come with all your faculties, right? Because what happens is when you get into that fight, flight, or freeze, that executive part of your brain shuts down. You go into primal and, hits the fan.
Right. And if people are abused, we want them to call the police. Of course, we don't want any kind of abuse like that. And as a person practices peace, they're actually going to draw less anger and abuse into their life because it's not on the same vibration as them. But what we really want you to logically figure out is that if I do something that you don't like, the anger is still inside of you. That's the part that you get to take responsibility for. And we don't want you to have blame or shame or guilt, because that's only going to exasperate it. But we want you to just notice that they did this, but the anger still is inside of you. And do you deserve anger when somebody does something bad to you? Because the anger inside of you is worse than what they did to you. It's literally affecting your heart, your lungs, your brain, and your life expectancy. So because somebody does something harmful to us doesn't mean that we should suffer with the anger. And that is what it's talking. That's what we're talking about when we're like, take responsibility for what's inside. Doesn't mean to stay in a bad situation. It means that you say, you know what? Because you did something hurtful, I don't want to be angry. I still want to remain in love and kindness and thoughtfulness and peace. Which you do, because that's who you're created to be. And so you're able to still do that.
Yeah, and you don't have to tell your partner that. You don't be like, oh, I need to stay in peace and anger, because that's just, because this is the first thing that when I first learned how to train my brain, I wanted everybody to know how to do it. That's your responsibility. Tap on it, breathe, you. So all the fingers started pointing to someone else, because we find some peace. And so we want them to have peace, right? But we want to master ourselves. Like number 2, what you want to get out of this class is know yourself well enough to know what you need to do for you.
what's good for you.
What's good for you? What's
And
gentle?
good are the good chemicals, the happy chemicals, the joyful chemicals, the peace chemicals, those chemicals that help you maintain and me maintain my highest version of me. And it's life. It's a learning experience, right? Sometimes anger used to last me for 10 years. Sometimes it lasted me for 2 months. Now I've got it down where it doesn't have to stay and control me from the inside, influencing my body and my reactions and creating more of that, right? We have to understand the truth that what is in our head is creating something. It always is. It has to, because that's how life works. We think it and then it's created. My sweater was thought up and then created. Your house was thought up and then created. So it is the same with our lives. Very good question.
How did that leave you, Greg? How was that?
Yeah, good. I think it addressed kind of everything that was on my mind there. Yeah. Just like you said, I think one of the phrases that hit me is you don't want to learn to swim while you're drowning, sort of thing. So practice. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Practice
The
feeling good.
neuroplasticity. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, the brain will do it. The brain can do it. The brain has been doing it. It's been updating. Now it's going to update to a more peaceful, more calm, more loving, more gentle, more grace. It's going to turn into that space. And like Leslie was saying earlier, breathe and just ask yourself for more space, not your partner. Let me breathe. I need more space. And just come back. Let me a pause. And then breathe and ask for more space.
Take your cat for a walk. Take your, think of the ocean, put on some ocean sounds. So you're going to figure out like, ooh, this is what I need to do right now to be peaceful. And you're going to do it for yourself because you're going to know that you're worth it.
Yeah.
What the bonus is, I'm just thinking, the bonus of the breath is that's inner peace.
Yes.
When the breath
Expansion.
is stopping the hardwiring that's going on. It's stopping you thinking about what it is you're going to do to get into inner peace. But when you take the breath, that makes a silence. It stops stuff.
Yeah.
And your whole system is responding to that, which is, I mean, how powerful is that?
How easy, right?
Yeah, just to know that. It's sort of like coming from the helplessness of knowing that I'm responsible for everything,
Mm-hmm.
and moving into the breath where there's everything and there's nothing there all at the same time.
Right, because all you have to think is, okay, all I have to do is breathe, or all I have to do, feel the breath feel the breath filling me, or
soften the ears and all of that kind of stuff. It's oh, I had goosebumps just then. And it just stops what we thought we were going to be doing, being pissed off or being, or saying, I've said a couple of times too, I need a minute to think this out. I'm wanting to respond in a different way. I mean, literally saying that, but I don't know what it is right now. I think that's bona fide. I think that's okay.
right. Yeah.
And it's self-care. Greg, if you're saying, well, I'm not sure what to do, that's bona fide. That's okay.
Yeah.
Have space.
And there's a deeper vulnerability that comes too, I think, when you start to understand that. And pretty soon it might be like, oh man, when you said that, I thought you were telling me that I'm stupid. And then your partner can say, oh, I never, you know what I mean? It's this misunderstanding that we go back into our childhood beliefs and think, well, when somebody does that, they think I'm stupid, so therefore I'm going to react. And sometimes once we've gotten to be in that really peaceful place and we're able to maintain it, we can admit like, oh my goodness, I literally thought you didn't like me, or you thought I was stupid, or you wanted me to leave, or whatever it is that's making us, and we can speak that out. And
Yeah, and I think we'll do more of that in the next calls. It's called telling on yourself. You
Yeah.
know, because there's that survival part of you that is taking it personal. You put it out on the table and you're like, you telling yourself, and you can frame it like, hey, I know this isn't true, but what you just said, this is how I'm interpreting it. And so therefore you don't have to blow up and you don't have to go in your own head. You can put it out on the table, tell on yourself, and you're not looking for anything from that person. You're not looking for validation or you're not looking for, you're just it's for your own process. Like, oh, like Tammy was saying, oh, I took that personal. I thought you were saying whatever it is that you were feeling, you know, take it. So it's telling on yourself, but that's too early right now.
Yeah.
Learn the strokes. Telling on yourself is the butterfly.
Oh, okay. Doggy paddle still. Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah.
it's called the breaststroke, not the butterfly.
No.
The breath stroke. Breathe, breathe. Yeah. So really think about, I love that was a great capturing for you. And it was for me as well, to realize like, man, if I practice peace so much, then when I'm drowning, I'll be able to use it as a skill. And it's not practicing it when you're angry, it's practicing it 10 times today when you're not angry, and 20 times tomorrow when you're not angry. Build up that peace practice, and the peace practice will create a program that has a groove, and that groove in your brain will be very powerful, just like anger is.
And that peace process, you can start upon awakening. The minute you become conscious and
Yes.
aware, if you start those peaceful thoughts, going to what makes you feel love, going to your peaceful place, those the ones that you worked on, you want to start that mechanics in the morning upon waking. You just go fishing, go do your breathing while you're in bed. Your partner's gonna be like, and you're just trying to get air. You're getting air. You're getting liveliness. You're finding the thoughts that make you feel good. You finding like if validation is valuable to you. Find all the ways you validate yourself. I'm here. I'm planet Earth. I'm walking. I'm talking. You're validating yourself. I can speak. Okay. I can make choices. I'm gonna have coffee instead of tea. Like that, those are little moments that you can start validating upon waking and throughout the day.
Yeah, tell yourself what you're good at, and especially right before you go to sleep. Your subconscious works on what you fall asleep to. It's really, really important that we're not spending our night worrying, fretting, fearing, and rehashing all those things we wish we said when we were angry or didn't say. And so right before you go to sleep, practice peace, and just notice that even waking up, you'll be much more capable of that. And then, of course, set a timer. Like we are great. We're great. We love to see you set a timer and set it every hour, every 2 hours, to say, oh, I'm going to practice, just close my eyes and imagine I'm at the ocean and I can smell the salt and I can hear the sound, or I'm going to practice I'm standing in the middle of a river and I'm seeing the sunshine and the fish are jumping. Whatever is going to help you feel peaceful, we want you to grab those memories and practice them at least 10 times a day. It's going to take a bit to get out of that groove. Get your swimming gear on.
Get your Speedos going, get them out of the closet, and your cap.
Yeah, well, don't need to worry too much about the cap.
Oh, that's cute. Great. Well, thank you for coming. Maybe as we close out, we can just take 3 deep breaths and just like start to sink into that peaceful feeling right now. We just want to build that even now so we know how to access it.
It was fun. Thank you.
Yes.
One more. Just feel it filling your stomach all the way up. And you know what? We never worried that there would be enough. We never worried that we wouldn't be able to let it go. We just have enough air. It's full of abundance. And right now, just think of some of those peaceful things, that song, that smell, that animal, that place in the world where you just, you love it there. You can picture it, you can hear it. You can feel it. You can feel the sensation of peace building up inside of you like a warm light. I like to put my hand on my heart and amplify it. Heart coherence. I am peaceful. And here's a great moment for you to say those 5 things that you are. Because even if you don't believe you are right now, the future you is. And so say it because it's true in the future. So you can say those words at the beginning. We all have those 5 things, right? That we want to define ourselves as. It's a good moment. Take 3 breaths throughout the day and just define yourself. I'm generous, I'm grateful, I'm gracious, I'm peaceful, I'm serene, I'm kind, I'm thoughtful. I'm empowered, I'm wealthy, I'm healthy, I'm vibrant. And use those words to create, to direct, and to set the point that you want to arrive at in life.
Yeah.
Beautiful.